Welcome everyone to today's workbook discussion on Zoom. Welcome also to all who join us later by watching or listening to this recording. I'm Laura Fenimore, the Chief Development Officer and Volunteer Coordinator with the Foundation for Inner Peace, the scribe authorized publisher of A Course in Miracles. We really appreciate your partnership with the Foundation. And if you want to learn more about the Foundation or A Course in Miracles, please visit ACIM.org. If you feel inspired to make a love offering, please visit ACIM.org, and at the top of the page, you will find the word donate. All donations support the work of the Foundation. Each session will be delving into a discussion of the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles, led by a moderator team of volunteers that work with the Foundation. What does discussion mean? In our gatherings here, we welcome the Holy Spirit to join us. Through this presence, our meeting becomes a joining of equals to commune with the Holy Spirit's guidance to experience miracles together. Some of the moderators here also support our social media channels, and if you'd like a list of FIP resources, please email support@acim.org, and we'll be happy to share the resource list with you. Now let's begin our discussion.
After raising 3 kids and 8 grandchildren, I've never...
Take it away, Manu.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. And as we gently step into the waters of this discussion, let's ensure that the water, the spirit waters that engulf us are what we give back to it in terms of kindness, discussing the course, respect, and the Holy Spirit itself. So as you know, this session is getting recorded, and so we are ready to jump into the session. Before we do a little bit of centeredness here, I want to just set the context before for our lesson. Now, you'll see lesson 128 here, but we'll be starting with 130. If you may remember, and if you participated in these discussions the last few weeks, lesson 128 was about the world that I see holds nothing that I want. The first paragraph actually exhorted us to believe this thought and gain what we all want. Lesson 129 was all about, again, the same topic. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. And what we are told is we can simply exchange the world we experience today for the world that we want. And now, if we may spend just a minute centering ourselves and becoming more peaceful, embodying the light that we are, let's just think about the lesson itself for today. It is impossible to see 2 worlds. So let's do that for just about a minute, and then we'll come back to it. It is impossible to see 2 worlds. Okay, we can come back to our gathering, and I'm going to ask for a couple of volunteers, maybe more. We are going to read the first six paragraphs in quick succession, and then we'll set the stage for the discussion. But of course, if something comes up for you before that, feel free to raise your hand. And so, beautiful. Andrew, why don't you please read us maybe a couple of paragraphs, and then if necessary, we can go to another person who might raise their hand in the meantime.
Gladly. It is impossible to see two worlds. Perception is consistent. What you see reflects your thinking, and your thinking but reflects your choice of what you want to see. Your values are determiners of this. For what you value, you must want to see, believing what you see is really there. No one can see a world his mind has not accorded value, and no one can fail to look upon what he believes he wants. Yet, who can really hate and love at once? Who can desire what he does not want to have reality? And who can choose to see a world of which he is afraid? Fear must make blind, for this is its weapon. That which you fear to see, you cannot see. Love and perception thus go hand in hand, but fear obscures in darkness what is there. What then can fear project upon the world? What can be seen in darkness that is real? Truth is eclipsed by fear, and what remains is but imagined. Yet what can be real is blind imaginings of panic born. What can be real in blind imaginings of panic born? What would you want that this is shown to you? What would you wish to keep in such a dream?
Thanks, Andrew. Well, we'll move to Corinne. Corinne, would you read us at least the next paragraph, number 4?
Sure. It's Corrine, by the way. But sure, of course.
Say that again so that I remember better next time.
It's Corrine?
Corinne. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Fear has made everything you think you see. All separation, all distinctions, and the multitude of differences you believe make up the world. They are not there. Love's enemy has made them up. Yet love can have no enemy, and so they have no cause, no being, and no consequence. They can be valued, but remain unreal. They can be sought, but they cannot be found. Today we will not seek for them, nor waste this day in seeking what cannot be found. It is impossible to see two worlds which have no overlap of any kind. Seek for the one, the other disappears, but one remains. They are the range of choice beyond which your decision cannot go. The real and the unreal are all there are to choose between, and nothing more than these.
Thanks, Corinne. I'll ask, because there were more raised hands, I'll ask Laura to read us paragraph number 6, and then we'll pause.
Today, we will attempt no compromise where none is possible. The world you see is proof you have already made a choice, as all-embracing as its opposite. What we would learn today is more than just the lesson that you cannot see two worlds. It also teaches that one you see is quite consistent from the point of view from which you see it. It is all a piece because it stems from one emotion and reflects its source in everything you see.
That's good, Laura. Thank you so much. And we did have one more raised hand. Sora, I'm going to call on you, even though you might have wanted to read a paragraph, but maybe you can, for all of us, in just a couple sentences, summarize or reflect on what we've read.
It's up to you. I wanted to read, but other people read. So I'll just go to paragraph 6. Today we will attempt no compromise, that where none is possible. The world you see is proof you have already made a choice, as all embracing is its opposite. I'm reading that as I've already made the choice to want to get out of the 3D world, not necessarily physically, but I've already made the choice to change my mind. And I said this last week, everything is in mind. And we have talked about that before. Johanna has articulated that beautifully. Everything's in mind. And if I'm seeing through the eyes of fear, that is a world. That is the 3D world, and there, how can you be at peace? And to make the choice to say, nope, I want to see the world through the eyes of love. And that kind of rolls out a whole other world, but it's the same world, like it's not out there. It's the world is inside. So what I see out there just becomes a reflection of the thought system I'm following. So that's my summary.
Beautiful. Thank you. Very helpful. And like people are starting to do, we are going to continue to reflect and talk about what we've read so far. Peter?
Yeah, I was going to follow up a little bit on what Sora was just saying. Paragraph 4, fear has made everything you think you see. Now, this is the complete reversal that the Course talks about, because I think everything I see causes me to feel the fear that I feel. It's like I have it backwards. So I'm already afraid, and the world is a result of that.
Right.
Afraid in the sense that I'm disconnected from my source. I'm in this dream. And so it's really interesting. All separation, all distinctions, and the multitude of differences you believe make up the world, they are not there. So that goes back to this idea of oneness, right? Heaven is the awareness of perfect oneness. And that's the reality of who and what we are. So as long as I see distinction, separation, and all of that, I'm still feeding the fear. But the big thing for me is just to remember the world is not causing me to feel afraid. It's the fact that I'm afraid that's causing the world. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Uma, I do have a question before you share, which is, and you can either reflect on that question or somebody else may later. Why is it so impossible for us to see both worlds?
The other day while reading the course, I came across a sentence: for every unhappy thought on the earth in the material plane, there is a corresponding happy thought in heaven. And I really liked that because I could take one piece, piece by piece and change it, but you can't see two of them. No, there's just no way you could see both of them. It's like being awake and asleep at the same time to respond to your thing. But I just wanted to quote that quote because I love it.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Uma. Andrew, you're up next.
Yes, I'll try to answer your question. I don't know the answer for sure, but I think you can't believe in two worlds at the same time. We believe what we see, even though our belief is what made what we see. But how do you change a belief like that? We it's a matter of faith, really. We have to get more faith in the world we can't see, and that's a difficult challenge. That's what miracles are supposed to help with. Also, I just love the way the first paragraph describes the whole process of how we make the world. It's how we believe it and we see it. It just describes the process very well. Perception is consistent. What you see reflects your thinking, and your thinking but reflects your choice of what you want to see. Your values are determiners of this. For what you value, you must want to see, believing what you see is really there. No one can see a world his mind has not accorded value, and no one can fail to look upon what he believes he wants. So I think we just have too much faith in this world to see another world. I have a thought, though. Perhaps when we are in deep sleep, not dream sleep, but deep sleep, maybe then we are in the other world, but we can't remember it when we wake. Just a possibility. Thank you.
Very cool. But before you go, Andrew, and before we go to Bernie, Stephanie, and Uma, don't you think that, in this paragraph, it says, no one can see a world his mind has not accorded value. And what two value systems does the lesson talk about after this paragraph?
Hate and love.
Yep.
Fear and love.
Fear and love, hate and love, exactly. So I think let's continue the discussion. Therein lies, some of the answer, obviously, and at some point, I think we should also discuss what you brought up regarding deep sleep. But let's go to Bernie first.
So, thanks, Manu, and thanks, Andrew. What comes to mind with this is that first paragraph talks about thinking and believing. In other parts of the course, it talks about how we think with God and believe with the ego. So whatever we are focused on, are we believing in the ego being fear, God being love? We cannot be focused on both at the same time. So are we believing in fear of what we're holding on to, projecting out into the world, that we get returned back to us? Or are we thinking with God, with love, so that love then is extending that, so that love then becomes returned to us? And if we looked at that, if we're looking in this direction, we're believing in everything that we're afraid of. And if we look in this direction, we are thinking with love. And so we can't see what's behind us. We can only see in the direction that we're looking. So do we look ahead? Do we look with love as our focal point? Or do we look with fear of what may be? And the course also talks about fear. Our fear is developed from fear of the past, that it's going to be projected into the future. And it's when we're in the present moment that we actually think with God, with love. So both can't occur at the same time.
Bernie, I have a follow-up question for you before. So Stephanie and Uma, please hold your thoughts. Bernie, one question that often comes up when people are studying the course is the point about the happy dream, and there's confusion around that. So if we are, either thinking with God, which I would assume obviously moves us in the right direction, what connection might that have with the concept of the happy dream?
So the Course talks about this human existence or this human experience as a dream of fear. And the correction comes through our perception. And the Course talks about we come with a fear-based perception, and thus, as we're perceiving what's going on around us, we are stuck in that perception of fear, which validates, again, being caught up in more fear. The correction to that is through forgiveness, and it shifts our perception from fear-based perception to true perception, which would be the corollary to the happy dream that takes us to that place of love. So in the happy dream, we are coming to a place of love through the correction of forgiveness that brings us to true perception and the happy dream.
Thank you. Thank you. Very helpful. Really appreciate it. Stephanie, you're up next to add to our rich discussion.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I think that Bernie answered my question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I have found this difficult. So I'll be honest, it's like, what? But so here's my question. Is it our interpretation of what our eyes and mind perceive? And I think Bernie answered it because he said, if we're looking from fear-based, then that's what we are seeing. And if we're looking from God or love, then we're perceiving love. I think it's interesting. The one thing I have really seen clearly is that I do not see both at the same time. That I have seen. But this is so basic to the course that I'm really grateful we're discussing it. I was like a little embarrassed to share that, I really had a hard time with this, but it's deep.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It took me a while to really understand the distinction, and some of the distinction came, pretty much all of it came from the practical aspect of it. And so I remember many years ago when I made this statement to someone that you cannot have the thought or feeling of fear as at the same time as that of love, and which is essentially what we're talking about. But the person I was speaking to couldn't buy it. They didn't understand it, which is fine. But I still remember that. And the reason it's connected to the happy dream, as Bernie also explained, is that as we start to change our way of thinking and tying our thinking to the way God thinks, which is the way of love, then the Holy Spirit creates this bridge through our willingness and creates what might be called the happy dream. So while we are still living in this world, the happy dream becomes the bridge, in a manner of speaking, that slowly, or sometimes more than slowly, transports us to the real world in experience. We can discuss.
May I just jump in to address Stephanie's question?
Yes, please.
So the Course talks about seeing with our eyes and using Christ's vision. Christ's vision is not our physical eyes. Our five senses are here to protect the body, as well as our emotional charges that we have, but they're all based in fear. We're afraid. We seek pleasure and avoid pain. We're afraid that the pleasure never leaves, and we're afraid that the pleasure will leave and the pain will never leave. And so when we're focused from that place of fear, from our senses, we are not going to connect with Christ's vision. And it's a continuous choice. Are we looking and going to that inner guidance, or are we trying to look from our bodily senses, from that's trying to protect our body and our ego? When we're not, when we reframe to what we're focused on, of using our body, recognizing that we're spirit, Christ's vision that is with us all the time. We focus on that, then what we are looking for is to have love reinforced. So thank you for the allowance for the interruption.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to introduce one more aspect to this discussion before we move on with other participants, which is, so Stephanie shared an example of a of this philosophical idea and not being able to grasp it fully. So why don't we take it deeper when possible after Uma, Sora, and Peter have spoken, or maybe during that? Let's take it deeper to where do we feel stuck in our daily living, which reflects this choice, so to speak, between this world and the real world. So I'll just have you kind of consider that question as you start sharing more. Uma?
Hello. I've had at least a dozen experiences in this short 71-year incarnation where I was in the real world. I mean, I've visited a lot of gurus. I've had my crown chakra open a bunch of times. Hello? It's very different. You know, you're hugging people you can't stand. There's love everywhere. It kind of wiggles when I get in certain states of love because the physical reality doesn't seem real. So the vibration seems wiggly. I call it wiggly love. It's just ecstatic. And then I remember I had 10 days complete clarity when this is so weird. The negative thoughts began to print out like a ticker tape machine, starting here and going in an arc to here. And for the first few days, you're no good, I'd laugh, whatever. Now, finally, I bit a negative thought and went right back to hell. That was like in 98. Okay, so that's one thing. So I can totally relate to the teaching because I've experienced it too. I'm a firm holder onto the Vedic Yuga cycle. The Vedic Yuga cycle, because we do have a wobble in the physical earth, we do have two North Stars, and we do have a 26,000-year cycle, which is reported to correspond with human consciousness. And I do believe there's a 4,000-year time at the top where there's no disease and no war, and we're basically in the happy dream on the earth. But because we're not done forgiving, we fall down again and go through Treta, Dwarpa, and Kali, and back up. We're now in upward moving Dwarpa, which I want you to know has the quality of the collapsing of space. So Zoom, airplane, rocket, telephone, collapsing space. Upward moving Treta in 2,000 years from now is collapsing time. And then we end up in heaven. And it goes around and around. So we all remember the happy dream somewhere. Now, where I get stuck, because you asked, is I want to verbally clean up and correct and arrive at love with almost all misunderstandings in the illusory world. And I am so stuck there, I can't even tell you. I mean, I know it's an illusion. I know it's not. We're both innocent, and I just want to talk about it, and nobody else does. And
Uma, I think I get that, because in a manner of speaking, we are all in that. I don't know if we lost Uma in the meantime, but in a manner of speaking, we are all in that boat, because depending on our views and beliefs and practice, it's not easy to find other people like us where we might be easily expressive of what we think and practice. But at the same time, of course, whatever is showing up is perfect for our, everything we experience is a lesson that God must have us go through, and we must want to go through. So,
For our own best purposes.
yes, yes.
Everything.
So maybe we'll come back to your stuckness, but for now we'll go back to Sora. Thank you.
These lessons are really interesting, and this isn't what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is, like years ago, the happy dream to some people meant like a pretty illusion. God's there was like prosperity conscious, and God's going to give you stuff, and that's not what it means as a happy dream. But these lessons and following lessons, and I have a whole list of them, imply that we came here to heal. We came here with these thoughts already in mind. And so there's this element of reincarnation. And to get to where I'm stuck on trust. Just letting it go. And when I do trust, it's like this visceral sensation, lighter, easier. I breathe better. And I want to say, I think that's most of the time, but then there's those times of, the belief and struggle just takes over. And at those moments, I'm not trusting. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Trust, as you, I think, well know, there's a nice saying in the course that says, trust will solve all your problems right now, or something to that effect, right? And at the same time, it's not an easy practice to be in that mode. And also at the same time, we may remember that love and fear are the two values of our that we may hold dear, this or the other, in terms of this or the real world. So our path back to trusting is always in the vein of love, if I may say that.
And I just to add, the Holy Spirit's way, or the way of trust, may look entirely different than what I had in mind. So like, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want me to do? And yeah, and it might not mean like you get stuff, which is
Yes.
what a happy dream, kind of, oh, oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll reflect on that a little bit more before going to Peter, which is the happy dream may not be a prosperous dream in the way the world thinks about it, but it's still a happy dream, as in we will be happy in that dream. Whether it takes the form of a Mercedes or not is not up to us to decide necessarily. For example, I know this person who just recently realize that their partner doesn't want to be with them, and that person is nevertheless still in their happy dream and trusting that whatever's happening to them is the right thing for them and for everyone that surrounds them. So with that, let's go to Peter, please.
Yeah, a lot to cover here. So we're happy in the dream because we know who we are, not because we have a car or not have a car. At that point, we remember who and what we really are. And remember, the atonement is a correction of perception, right? But what is the correction? You understand that we are cause and not effect. We are the cause of this dream, of this illusion. That's the only way we're going to have happiness in this world. Well, we think we're in this world, I think. I want to come back to your original question. How is it impossible to see two worlds? And say, the Course says a couple of times, and I know this is one of Sharon's favorite lines, projection makes perception. There is no out there, out there. What I'm seeing is an outward picture of an inner condition, right? So whatever I think is, it's actually, the world is really doing me a favor because it's showing me what's in my mind. So I can heal that, and the way I heal that is by forgiving it. And the irony of that is forgiveness is letting all things be exactly as they are. I'm not reacting to the world as if it's real, as if it has power over me anymore. And that's how the world disappears to the universe. And the other thing on the real world, I think the Course says we're only in the real world for an instant, and then we're back in heaven. So it's really, the distinction is between heaven and the illusion. So for me, as long as I see separation, I'm in fear and I'm in the illusion. So as long as I think you guys are different than me, separate from me, and I judge you for that, then I'm in the illusion. And I haven't had this experience yet, maybe other people have, but when I look around and all I see is myself everywhere and in everyone I see, then I think I'm in the real world and or heaven. I think there is really no perception in heaven. I mean, the Course talks about true perception. In heaven, there's just knowledge, and the knowledge is that there is only one of us. There is only one. And so if God could look around, I think God just sees itself everywhere, and that's what makes God happy. I'll stop there.
Okay. Well, in a sense, what you did was fabulous, Peter, and also a little unfair. You know why? Because you basically wrapped up the lesson for us start to end. And so you summarized it, you called out the problem, you called out the solution, and the practical way to basically start living. So thank you so much. That was beautiful. Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for this discussion, and I want to thank you, Uma, for what you brought up about being stuck. I wanted to share what I do. Well, is that how did you put that? Where we're stuck. That's what you asked, right? So I get stuck when I get triggered. And lately I've been really looking at my triggers. And one of the things is when I get triggered, it is so painful. So first I get triggered, and then I judge myself for getting triggered. So I add pain to it because I feel I shouldn't be triggered. And but what I'm starting to see in terms of we are one is that when when I give myself the space to look at the trigger, things are coming up for me that are showing me things about myself. It is not easy. So, I was triggered recently in the last few weeks, and I was really disturbed about it. And then what came to me were memories that I had not healed, that I did not know were there in my history years ago. But because they came up, I was able to forgive, and I think I'm forgiving. I'm in the process still of forgiving. So I'm starting to get it. Manu, this was a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. And of course, like I said, Peter, he said the world is doing us a favor. I would actually just say that the world is not doing us a favor. The world is us, which is also what Peter said afterwards. And so the whole idea is as we get triggered, like you so eloquently illustrated, Stephanie, our traumas and subconscious issues come up, which then allow us to practice forgiveness. And then what Peter said, we are supposed to just be watching in a neutral fashion as this activity occurs. We allow the Holy Spirit, which is what Johanna always says, give it to the Holy Spirit, the space, and allow that thing to be processed. Beautiful. Megan, why don't you go next? And then we have 3 more hands raised after that, so we can give time for everybody to chime in.
Yeah, so I think I spoke about having to put down my foster dog. And which I've been dealing with, but then people that don't know that I put down the dog have now asked what happened, which I seem to have a more of an issue with than actually putting down the dog, or at least it brings up the putting down the dog. And so I've been asking Spirit for help because it has been difficult for me to feel responsible to end a life, even though I know that that dog's life had a path, it had a beginning, it had an end, and I have no ability to change it myself, just as I will have a beginning and an end, and nobody around me can make it unhappen. They can't go in there and go, you know, blah, 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 you're now eternal forever. But anyway, so that was one place I got stuck. Also, I think every once in a while I just get stuck when I wake up in pain or I'm in pain, and I ask for guidance and help. And sometimes the guidance just tells me to like sit with it a while. I might start crying or something like that. And I realized that I was missing all my animals. I just thought, well, now I'm missing all my animals at this point because I'm thinking about the dogs. But then I just asked one of my other animals for help, and I got just tears coming. I thought, I thought I feel better, but what did I do? And I thought I didn't really do anything, but I also didn't make something out of it. So I think the stuck part was thinking that I had to physically do something or think something or try something. And the answer was to allow and ask for guidance and then wait and just accept what was coming. So thank you very much.
That's beautiful. Thank you. There's a couple things that came up earlier around deep sleep. We may not have time to discuss that, Andrew, today, and the yoga cycle, etc. That might be a topic for another venue, another conversation. And Sora had brought up briefly reincarnation, which we do have a response on that from the course. But suffice it to say, a lot of these things are just the play of the world, the illusory world that we live in. So for now, let's go to Philip.
Oh, hey, everybody. Good discussion. I think you asked what takes us out of there. Well, today, what took me out of it was I was feeling real peaceful when I woke up, real good, real centered. Then I dropped Polly off and I was all alone. I couldn't wait to get home and get on YouTube and find the guilty people that I tend to go to. Man, it felt really good. They're attacking those people because I knew I was justified and all that. But I also kind of had this sense that it was making me insane, and losing my peace. And I knew I was never going to find it there, but I kept trying. Finally, I'd had enough, I just said, wait a second. All I'm doing is projecting a bunch of crap onto myself. There isn't anybody out there. Maybe nobody's guilty, maybe fear's not real. Maybe my attack thoughts are only attacking myself. And so, I got to reverse all that. Felt good again. But sometimes I really love, to go out there and stew in that stuff a little while. Not as long as I used to, though. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's what our egotistical self loves to do. It's so satisfying to that part of us that still is lingering. I'm going to go to Johanna next. Oh, Uma, did you want to? Okay, why don't you speak first?
I really do want to say, I noticed everyone matched my stuck place. You mentioned the yoga cycle, which is a long discussion, but nobody matched my sense of being in a happy dream. Please.
Okay. Johanna, you're next.
Yeah, I don't understand the question. Could you repeat, Uma?
When I shared, I said I've had at least 6 experiences in my life of feeling as if I was in the happy dream. I'm 71. They were mostly in the 90s, but I remember them because I remember most everything. And the response I got was directly toward my stuck place, which doesn't interest me much. And I was just
Okay.
curious, though we were talking about where do you get stuck. And I did have a big past life experience memory of why I get stuck there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll make a passing comment on this. I may not, in my understanding, I will not necessarily equate the happy dream as a general concept with the experience of the real world, which I think you are suggesting. So, but I'll just leave it at that. We can come back to it and others can respond. Johanna?
I'm sorry. Yes, I think that the real world people can have, and the happy dream is when we're all there, right? Isn't that it?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
I don't want to answer that question for you because I don't want to invalidate your experience, and I'm really happy that you shared that experience because it's very inspiring to hear about it. According to the course, though, a happy dream is the experience we have when we've sided with love instead of with fear. That's a happy dream. I'm having a happy dream right now because I'm feeling love and I'm sharing it with everyone, and everyone's sharing it with me. And so that's a happy dream. When happy dreams string like a necklace, and that's all we have is happy dreams, that's when the ego has dissolved and we enter the real world. The reason why the real world, the course says, is so short is because the ego has dissolved, so there's nothing to come back to. And so when somebody says, I've been in the real world and I came back, they've been somewhere else, but not in the real world, because the real world is still a world of perception, but the entire world has been forgiven. And so when you come back, you've been close to the real world. I mean, it must have been a very intense, happy dream, which is wonderful. But the reason you cannot come back from the real world is because there's nothing to come back to. And the other thing that I wanted to share is regarding something that Peter said. He said that you see yourself in everybody. That's impossible. I cannot see myself in everybody. I think when the Course says to see the Christ in everyone, it means to see innocence in everyone. And that is something that I can aspire to and ask the Holy Spirit to help me with. And so that's what I'm actually doing now. I'm seeing the innocence in all of you. But I still see different people. I see different bodies, see different hairstyles, I see different expressions, and that's fine. But what I pick up on is the innocence I see and the love that I see. So that was what I wanted to share about that. Thank you.
I'll speak for Peter as a quick response, Johanna, to what you said. And Peter, feel free to correct me. So when Peter said, we see ourselves in others, I don't think he was talking to his egotistical self. He was talking about his big S self, which is the same as what you said, Johanna. Corrine?
Yes, hi. I wanted to add something to the discussion. I related to Stephanie when she said, getting triggered, and when she looks at that with love, she understands it, where it's coming from and what it means. And so she can heal that within herself. And it's not so easy, but it's possible, and it can be done, especially with the Holy Spirit and with love. I find it comes pretty quickly, like that the holy instant that the Course talks about when we look at ourselves with love, and with past experiences. What I wanted to add, where I am in the text right now, is about the Antichrist. And it was really revealing to me of what the Course talks about, of what that Antichrist is. And it's about not seeing ourselves as complete. It's not seeing ourselves as together with our brothers as separate from ourselves. And it talks about the Antichrist as an idol of something that we're looking for to complete ourselves because we're not complete yet. There's some form of lack in ourselves. It talks about a gap between the Christ and what you see, which is, the world out there. What do we see? And that's a choice that we have. And that choice then determines, as many people have said today, of what we see. So the choice comes first. And I wanted to add to last week's discussion. Someone said, I can't forgive. I can't see them as a brother. What the Course says when we say I can't is that we don't want to. That's what it really is, what's coming from, that we're getting some kind of benefit from that. And the Course asks, what benefit can you be getting from that? Fear, despair, loneliness, hatred, anger, and those emotions are in us. And so if we can see that outside, we can also direct that towards ourselves, because those emotions are in us. So I wanted to address that with what's helping
Thank
me
you.
make that decision is between the Antichrist or love, which is also comes forgiveness. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Corinne. We only have a couple minutes left. I do want Bernie and Bill to contribute. Johanna, did you want to quickly retort or response? Okay. Okay. So Bernie and Bill, you guys have a minute each, please.
Okay, try and be real quick here. So what blocks me is when I fail to forgive myself and recognize that forgiveness isn't a stage, it's continuous. In every moment, I have an opportunity to forgive. And I just want to touch on Sora's comment around trust. In the manual for teachers, it talks about trust and the development of trust. And in that, you go back and forth between acceptance and agreement and finding trust. And then you go back into the disbelief until finally the fear no longer shows up. So it's a practice that is ongoing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bill, you're next before I wrap up our discussion.
Okay, bless. I will get this under a minute. So this weekend, I was at a basketball game, a junior high school basketball game, and there was a big kerfuffle all of a sudden, 3/4 of the way through the game, where everyone stopped and everyone went over to the referees. And I couldn't understand what was going on. I thought they were just trying to figure out what happened with a certain call. But apparently, well, there was a guy that stood up, they told me after, in our bleachers, who was yelling and being vulgar and made the game stop and made everyone do that. And I couldn't believe that. Like they said he was a Chinese guy to even so I should have really noticed this person there. I was watching the game. I was in the game. Now, so what I'm suggesting here, and I've been saying it to a few other people, but nobody could wrap their mind around what I'm trying to say, is that I was blocked from seeing that darkness. It was just not in my vision. I wasn't able to see it. Is it possible that I'm elevating to such a place where this can happen and right in front of my eyes, and it's not what I'm seeing? I'm seeing a completely different world then. I think that could happen. And then we can just we will walk perfectly free. And the darkness that is happening, we don't even see it. I think that could be what I seen. I don't know.
Yes, yes, Bill, that is correct. It's what the Course and this lesson says in the first paragraph about, we see what we really believe or want to believe and see.
Well, when it backed it up, when everyone around me seen it, yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, I guess that's the first time that I've been able to see that happened. I guess it probably has happened lots. And I didn't know until this time.
I'd like to read, thank you, Bill, a section of this lesson which comes a little bit later. And we can close with a little bit of peaceful flavor. It is impossible to see two worlds. Let me accept the strength God offers me and see no value in this world, that I may find my freedom and deliverance. So essentially, wherever we are stuck, like many of us have said, it's a choice we make between the two value systems. We invite the Holy Spirit and therefore the strength of God to take us where we need to go. Thank you. Thanks for a great discussion, everybody.